I'm Nicole.
I'm Geraldine.
I'm Lauren.
And this is
Doing the Damn Thing, an entrepreneurship talk show.
Hello everyone, welcome back to our latest episode of Doing the Damn Thing. In today's episode, we're all going to share one of our favorite entrepreneur/business books because leaders are readers, as Geraldine likes to say. So before we get into it, you're going to hit that red button that says subscribe, ring that bell.
I didn't make that up.
I've never heard her say that.
She just said it, guys. So yeah, you're going to hit that red button, subscribe, ring that bell. Then you're going to comment, like, share this video, all that good stuff. So the first one up is Lauren. Tell us your favorite business entrepreneur book.
I'm going to go with Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And this is a classic book. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Yeah? Have you read it?
No.
Have you read it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I know you have. I was trying to be all...
We studied that book together.
Yeah. So, really, Think and Grow Rich, it's just called Think and Grow Rich. It's about, like, really the mental state of building wealth and of building business. So, Napoleon Hill, over 20 years, studied some of the richest people in the United States, so the Rothschilds, the Carnegies, and did interviews with them to see what is it that made them successful. So what are some of the best practices of successful people? And it's just, it goes through so many different aspects. It talks a lot about the law of attraction, even though it doesn't call it the law of attraction, but the idea that when you set goals and really keeping your focus on it and going after it. It talks about masterminds. So the fact that, you know, I may not know how, let's say I want to open a car company, but I don't know how to, and in the book they use Henry Ford as an example for this. Yeah. He wanted to open a car company. He didn't know anything about cars. And so his deal was he would just gather all of the people that he needed that knew about that, how to build cars, and then he just was the leader basically, and everybody kind of came together and did their specialty. So it's you know, team building. It talks about the just kind of your own mental state and how to keep yourself going towards money and towards the goal of keeping your focus. What other things am I missing about it?
So you guys said you studied the book? Was it like part of a book club or a study group? Okay.
Kind of, yeah. We're part of a mastermind group also.
Okay.
Yeah, where we meet, you know, the meeting is held once a week and everybody comes together, reads a chapter, discusses how it pertains to their life. If you interview any entrepreneur, very successful, pretty much most of them have read this book. So yeah, it's a really incredible book, and I think it's people read it over and over and over and over and over and over again, literally, like highlighted, scratched up, all this stuff. So yeah, that was my book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Geraldine, what's your book?
Yes, my book is called Your Brain at Work, and it's by David Rock. It's all about neuroscience and how exactly your brain functions. It tells you different ways and strategies of how you can be at work but remain really effective. One thing I've learned over time reading all of these neuroscience books is that it's so important for you to understand how the brain in general works and how you personally work, because then you can alter the way you communicate with people, how you take breaks, and all the different things around, like just knowing like what your initial like automatic reactions to things are, because our brain is so key to having a really focused work day. So that's what I really like about that book, and it gives a lot of examples too of how certain things that can happen, how to deal with them.
You read a lot of books about neuroscience, am I knowing you? What is it about this book that you liked better or stands out?
It was very simple. I like to read mostly nonfiction books, and because I don't like too much story. You know, I feel like sometimes, for me personally, when I read books that have too much story, I kind of like drift off, and it's hard for me to, like, I like to stick to the facts. So this was a very simple read and gave kind of like a step-by-step and gave a little bit of context, but it wasn't totally taking me away from the meat of it. So that's why I like this particular book.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like too scientific either.
So you've read a lot of neuroscience books, and I know that you've applied them at various times as we've worked together. What is one of the key points in that book that really stuck with you?
One of the things that really stuck out for me is that our brains can only hold a certain amount of information at once in any given moment. So it's very natural, especially if you're working in a team environment or an environment with other people around, is that you're going to have interruptions. So it's one thing to be doing multiple things at once, and then you're getting interrupted on top of that. So that adds onto the layers and like really maxes out your capacity of what you can even think about or focus on as you're working. So one of the things that's important is how you set your boundaries, how you even set up your workflow so that you can really work with velocity.
Yeah, I get really nervous. Like if I think I'm going to get interrupted, it's hard for me to even start a project or start working on anything. It really makes me.
Part of me though, as just someone who likes to be up to a lot of things all at once, part of me, it makes me feel good when I'm working on multiple things at a time. Yeah. And I don't think that's probably not the most effective way to work.
Well, it probably depends on what the multiple things are.
True.
Yeah. How about you, Nicole?
Okay, so I think I'm like a little bit of the opposite of you. I am a fiction reader. It took me forever to get into nonfiction because I don't like to be told what to do. And so I'm like...
entrepreneur.
Yeah. So, and then I felt like a lot of entrepreneur books or even nonfiction books were coming from like one type of lifestyle. And I'm like, that's not my upbringing or my life whatsoever. I always laugh when entrepreneurs are always like, yeah, just like go to India and like find yourself. I'm like, I can't call my mom, like, you know, if I leave the bathroom and walk to my bedroom and I did not call her from the bathroom to the bedroom, she's going to freak out. So I can't just go to India and find myself. I will, search parties will be sent. So I had to like finally like dive into nonfiction. It was like baby steps, right? Like 1 foot into the pool. And so finally I found one, and I realized I like biographies. I like people telling about their entrepreneur story. So there is that story aspect to it that I really like. And the one I really enjoyed reading was From Stilettos to the Stock Exchange. And it was about this Latina entrepreneur. It came from her point of view. Her name's Tina. I cannot pronounce her last name, and I'm sorry, Tina. But it'll be in the description box below. I promise you. But what I loved about it was just her talking about her starting her business, it failing, restarting, and then it growing. And then, what's that company? Dr. Scholl's sort of took her idea and then sort of just and sort of all like these like back and forth she went through. But one of the scenes in particular in the book that I was like, oh my God, finally someone like gets it. And she's in this like really good like board meeting. She's finally made it. She's like basically the only Latina, and she's trying to get money from like all these white people like at a bank, and she's doing really, really well. But she gets a phone call because her dad just died of an overdose from living in a van, and so now she has to take care of like her younger siblings, like because I remember her parents like were divorced and her dad had like younger kids, something along those lines. And I remember I'm like, finally someone gets it. I haven't had anything that dramatic happen, but I've been in like meetings where I'm doing really well and like a family member has passed away, or like my siblings are getting into an argument and I have to solve it. Like something's pulling me away. And so I really enjoyed the fact that there was a book there that really explained like how you could be professional, but like, you know, you can't run away from your family. You just have to like manage it in a way.
Or life.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I was thinking about that today as maybe something to talk about on the show too, actually, was just like how to compartmentalize your life almost, because that does happen. You're flying high and then boom, something can hit you and like, you know, but she continued on, it sounds like, and was able to overcome.
She like takes care of her younger siblings and she's doing well. She wrote this book and I met her. She's like doing great. And so, but it's like, and also I like the part where she talks about seeing where like her business is doing well, but basically she maxed out like all her credit cards. I'm like, that's another relatable scene, you know, and like going to the bank and like asking for more money, because it's like, you know, she didn't come from like a family that could give her money or a trust fund or anything like that, and so she's just like really trying to make it like maybe not the most financially savvy way, but you know, she paid off the credit debt, but still going through all that. So reading it and knowing that, I'm like, okay, you could have those failures, right? But and still be successful. And it's
kind of like the one long book version of what doing the damn thing.
Yeah. Basically.
Keeping it real.
Yeah.
Another way, I feel like that is something that you see a lot, hear a lot, is from people talking about, I consume like 2 books a day or 2 books a week or whatever. And I'm not a reader, actually. I was growing up. I loved it. And then I just kind of got maybe too much school or something, But it's hard for me. So sometimes I'll listen to an audiobook. I think that's helpful. Yeah. But I always kind of feel some kind of way about that comment, like you should read 2 books a week. Well, what if you don't want to?
Keep in mind, people aren't reading 2 versions of War and Peace. They're reading 30 pages of how to do this, and they're calling it a book. Like, no one's sitting down and reading 500 pages, right? Maybe, but that's all you do with your life. And so I feel like people, because I'm a big avid reader, right? Like, I was up until maybe 2 years ago, I was trying to read 1 book a month, and then the magazine sort of took over my life. One of the things that I actually tell Nick all the time, because he's not a big book reader, and I always tease him because he's had this one book, and I swear to God, guys, my husband, we've been together for 13 years. He's still reading this one book. It's 13 years. I'm like, give up on that dream, babe. Just give up on that dream.
Wait, does he actually read it?
Yeah, he'll go through phases of he'll read it and then put it down.
See, I can appreciate that. Me and Nick probably would get along on that reading better.
What I was telling Nick was that you don't have to read books to be a reader. I feel like you could, what he's really good at is he reads a lot of New York Times and New Yorker. I'm like, if your mind is reading something and you're making sure it's good quality, not People magazine, that does not make you a reader, guys, okay?
Oh, that's not true. If that's all you're reading, at least you're reading.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah. So it's just, but as long as you're reading good quality, and it's, by good quality I mean your mind is thinking, it's making your mind think, and it's exercising your mind, because we exercise our bodies, we got to exercise our minds, then I think that's okay. You don't have to be reading a novel, but if you read a few articles a week, same thing.
Well, I remember when I discovered that you could read multiple books at a time. So you just read a couple chapters here and there. I liked that because it was kind of like treating a book like a movie or a TV series or something. You got to see it in short. And then because I'm going back to the neuroscience of wanting a lot of different things at once or whatever, I'm kind of like that too. So having the variety of what you're reading, then it also just gets kind of bored. I used to feel obligated to read one book from start to finish before I started another one, and that really changed it for me.
Yeah, and I think that whenever you pick up a book and you read anything, it's always at the right time. Mm-hmm. Because there's particular books you might pick it up and read, I'm not really feeling this, and then years later you stumble across the book and then you read that one chapter and it really captures you. It's because you needed it at the right time. I mean, even if you read that same book you read years ago, you might process it a little bit different today.
It took me forever to actually finish the 4-hour work week.
That's funny.
And then I don't like me told you, I'm like, ugh, I can't deal with this guy right now. And then I pick it up again, I'm like, I still can't deal with him right now. And then finally I was like, all right, I'll have a mimosa, and then I can deal with this book. And then it gave me good tips. So.
I'm very picky about audiobooks because having a background of being a lyricist, the voice is so important to me.
I could see you being like, I hate your voice.
Yeah, totally. Because, everybody, I don't know, is there a handful of different readers there? But I like it when the author's reading it because then it's more expressive, it seems more natural, as long as their voice isn't annoying.
Yeah. Just real quick, last thing I think is, even though we're talking about entrepreneurship books, I think that it's a good time. This topic was inspired by you. Yeah. And with Epifania, you have a book club, don't you?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. it's fiction, and
Lauren's trying all those connections today, guys. But thank you, Lauren, for leewaying into that. So Epifania Book Club, you can find it on our website, and of course that link is in the description box below, and then it's also on our Facebook page. And so how I choose the authors is usually I know the authors, and the first 2 authors so far are women of color. And they're completely different books. One's on dating, and one is just a book on poetry. And so that's basically I'm choosing it because I'm like, I don't want to make other people read something I haven't read. So I read both of them already, and I like them.
And do you do? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
We might be asking the same question.
What?
And is this in person or is
No,
it?
it's virtual because I have readers like throughout the country, and I'm like, I could do it in person, and I used to, which was great. But then people be like, well, yeah, like, you know, where can I find it? And I'm like, well, you could purchase the book and read it, like, and then tell me your thoughts. So we just decided just to do it virtually.
So how does it work?
Through Zoom. So all the information will be on our website and our Facebook group. We have a Facebook group part of the Facebook page, and so that's where I put all the info, like the events, the links, all that stuff, multiple times because people tend to forget, and so I'm just like, here it is. And so yeah, we decided actually to do it through Zoom instead of Google Hangout, just because with Google Hangout, I notice people have a hard time accessing it through different emails, and sometimes people use their email, like their work email, and it might not be able to use it. So it's just easier to do it Zoom. But it's all virtual, and you guys can find it on our website and our Facebook page.
Cool.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. All right. I'm so happy they decided to actually like do this video with me, because I was just like, it's always nerve-wracking because I feel like it's in a weird, I don't want it to be a loaded question, but it's also like, hey, like, do you read? Do you have a book?
You should at least know one time.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for sharing your books. And I hope you guys enjoy all the books that we shared, and definitely, you know, read them. We'll put the links below, in the description box below, like the Amazon link, so you guys can definitely just go purchase them. And, yeah, thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.